I'm Brandon.
And I'm Jesse.
We're Cannabis School. Having cannabis-infused conversations
With everyday people,
cannabis companies,
celebrities,
and your mom.
welcome
To the sesh.
Every day, I have this weird habit. I wake up, I go to social media, but I go to the reels or the shorts because I want to laugh. So I have this thing where I want to laugh every single day. And if I can watch something hilarious, something stupid, I just enjoy
make you
myself.
laugh, yeah.
I don't think that we give ourselves a break enough to just chill. And that's kind of what, like, I get shit sometimes from other adults when I tell them that I play video games. And some adults, I use that term lightly, some adults, they're like, well, how old are you? I'm like, I'm 45. Like, oh, dude, don't you give that stuff up in your 30s? I'm like, maybe you did, but I don't.
Yeah. Why do you have to stop enjoying something?
It's
Maybe your amount of time dedication might change. The relationship to it might change.
I've noticed that my video game relationship has completely changed.
Same. But I still find that there are times that I still enjoy doing that.
Yeah. Oh,
It
totally.
might not be as frequent. It might not be the same style of game. It might not, whatever. It's always shooters. I will always love shooters.
Yeah, dude. I have a blast doing those, but it's at the same time, like, we've got No Man's Sky we've been playing. They've got this new update, and it's so cool looking. And with your headset on and the vibration of your PS5 controller, like, dude, it just really, and if you're really high,
It draws you right in.
oh, it's so fun. Dude, that blackberry spice one would be interesting to try in there, because then you
Do
could
think
just
you'd want to?
yeah, but you could do all the mundane shit that you don't want to do, like all the mining, all the thing. The mining is cool that you can refill it, but it's also really fucking annoying, because it's just like, oh man, I got to do this.
It
But
can be super tedious sometimes.
yeah, but what I want to talk about today, man, is just like allowing ourselves to relax. What can we do? What happens to us when we chill out? And what are the things that we're more observant of instead of like just worried about all the other shit that goes on?
What kind of chill out? Because for me, I feel like maybe you're different, but when I have my screen right in front of my face, whether I'm scrolling or something, I'm not actually chilling out because every notification still pops up.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, like, I'm still here. I tell myself I'm chilling, I'm relaxing and whatever, but like everything still is right here. Every thought that my brain brings in, what about this? What about this? I wonder what this is. And then, where my mind's normally like, well, I can Google that real fast. Let me put, like, I have my phone here. It's these thoughts that it's like it pulls us here and here and here. I'm not actually allowing myself to chill.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've been noticing, because I've been consuming, I'm back to consuming cannabis a little bit more than I normally do, but I'm not thinking it's related to stress.
How's that been for your relationship with you on the day-to-day, consuming more?
It just depends on when. It really depends on when. Like,
Do you feel like it's been more, like it's been better for your relationship with yourself with that more consuming?
Yes, depending on what I'm doing. Like, when I'm really hyper-focused on getting something done or creating something, I just need to focus and I need to be able to block everything else out. The problem with that is that I'm in constant let's do everything mode. So I have a difficulty of being able to focus on one task at a time unless I can be hyper-focused. But say like this strain, or Gelato Face Off, that's been a really good standby for me lately, or Candyland, which I'll be trying out pretty soon.
Oh yeah, we're excited for that.
Those help me, like I can disappear into my work. And
it's easier to be productive in it.
Yeah, it really is.
Because how easy is it for our minds, even in working on a project sometimes, to go, wait, but what about this? Or, oh, I had this thought, what about this?
Yeah.
Or, but I'm also working on this, and this just popped into my head, so what about this?
Yep.
And it's like I I find myself doing that constantly. And I actually so yesterday, 2 days ago, no, yesterday morning, I sat down and I recorded Happier Headspace
Oh,
episodes again.
good.
But prior to that, I sat down with chat because I was like, I'm struggling. I am struggling, feeling like I can get everything I need to accomplished and feeling overwhelmed with it and that. And chat was like, cool, well, let's help you structure this out. And I'm like, cool, here's what I need to accomplish. Here's the times that I need to leave for my kid. Here's when I need to pick him up. Here's my day of what every day looks like. I need to get this done. I need to get this done. I need to get this done. And I need to get this done in the week. Help me plan this out. And it gave me a day by day schedule of like, this is what you do from this time to this time, this time to this time.
So you've been following that.
That starts Monday. So I put that in to my calendar and I put it in blocks of every single thing that it's like, cool, here's my routine. Here's episode editing. Here's content recording. Here's lunchtime. Here's
Dude, let me see
post
that.
creation. Here's, and so this is that's Monday, but then every day is slightly different because I'm not editing every day. So I'm like, all right, what do I have for this? And I went to chat and I just blocked it in. So I'm going to follow that. And every reminder that pops up and alerts me, it's going to go, here's an alert. Okay, what does that do? All right, well, this is my scheduled time. So then I'm like, I don't need to worry about, am I getting everything done? Because I know if I do that every day and follow that, I can get what I need to accomplish.
That's cool.
So I figured that out so that I can be more productive and more effective in everything I'm doing. Because I'm like, all right, well, if I'm trying to find like ad stuff, I'm trying to do this, like, when do I allot this time? Because I don't want to feel like, I'm spinning my wheels. And sometimes I'll be middle of editing and it's, hey, I know how this episode went. I know there's not a lot of cuts that I'm doing in this episode. So most of my focus is like, all right, I'm listening for, did we go off on a random ass tangent I need to cut out for a bit because it was way too long? Or is there coughing that I need to try and cut? And past that, it's like, okay. So then I'm like, okay, I'm doing emails or I'm doing something else, but am I giving that 100%? And so I'm looking at that and going, how many times do I get drawn because I'm not just allowing myself to chill? And instead of going, hey, this is a designated time just for this, don't worry about stressing about it all these other times because I have a time allotted to stressing about that and working on it and getting that done. This isn't that time. And then now I can allow myself to go, hey, just chill. No, this is time that's allowed to chill because you've already done all of your things that you need to accomplish. And you have everything allotted for what you need to do tomorrow and the next day and the next day. So I just went out through the 5 days of the week that I have through there. And I'm like, cool, well, set this schedule. And I'm like, cool, this day, I need this thing to go every day or every week at this day because this is my Monday schedule. But then that also gets me in the habit of following that. Going, Mondays is this. Mondays I do this. Well, this time at this place, I do this. This time, this place, I do this. And allotting myself like specific places for things, specific times for things. Because it's like, I find I'm way too drawn and stressed about, well, I should check on this. I should worry about this. Well, what if a new email came in? And instead of just going, there's time for that. When I've allotted time for that, right now is this time. And then I can puff on a pen. I can puff on a strain and be hyper present and go, that doesn't matter. I don't need that. I don't need this. I don't need this thought. There's time for that later. And if I can do that, and because then the problem is at the end of the day, how often do we feel super accomplished? Hey, I got everything I wanted to done today. Hey, I got everything accomplished that I set out to do today. Versus, man, this came up and this took longer and this did this and this did this. And it's like, if we give ourselves grace and allow that, that's fine. But like, how many times do we not hold ourselves accountable and go like, yeah, I should have done that, but instead I was not focused because I was, my mind was here, here, here. That's constant for me. It gets a constant daily struggle. And so that I felt like allowed me to, after I sat down, got that all out, put my schedule up, and then I'm like, what do I have to do today? What is needed to get done? And I was like, well, I need to send some emails. So I went and did that first. Made sure I got that off the plate. Okay, every immediate email right now is out. Anything else that comes in can wait because that's not right now. So now email is done. All I need to worry about next, what's next on my list? And it was like, all right, I did that. And then I was like, all right, so the next thing now is recording. I have time to record. I want to get at least 3 episodes done. That was recording the intro again. That was getting, a first and a second episode. I did 3 episodes in the intro yesterday because I found I had enough time. And I wasn't stressed about all this other stuff because I was like, this is the time for this. I have time for that another time. And so it's really hard to do that though. Like I struggle with that so much.
Yeah, I used to. When you were talking about that, like I've tried those things and I like the idea. Like looking at yours was like way more defined than mine was. Mine was just like giant blocks of time.
Mine used to be, yeah.
Because I just want to make sure that because of typically how like it'll go for me is I just have to think. And that's a good time, but what I have to have because my mind is racing with thoughts. I will listen to a certain type of music to distract my subconscious so I can focus on something.
Yeah.
And I use cannabis to slow down the thought process as everything that is in my subconscious is all trying to get my attention. My consciousness is like, okay, look, we need to do this action. So let's get into the mode. And I'm like, all right, brain, let's do this. Because the consciousness and the brain are 2 separate things. The brain is an organ, right? Yeah. So and this is the thing that I started to understand and realize that, and it's like that whole thing we had a discussion on habits and imprinting, whatever it is, it needs to make sense to you, right? It's why certain people love fruits and other ones it makes them gag. It's
finding methods.
What works.
Everything that works with us. It's like even self-improvement or, coaching, whatever it is, there's a method that sticks and resonates with certain people. And there's other methods and tips and things that resonate with other people. And it's just, we kind of drawn towards, it's like, what is that magnetic pull? We're drawn towards those things that we have that with, that we really connect with, we resonate with, that it like
gravity,
that vibration has that same vibration as we do of like, oh, this vibrates, it resonates, it makes sense to me. And it doesn't have to make sense to everyone else. Like, because everyone's vibration, everyone's mindset, everyone's like state of who they are, the life they've lived is always going to be different,
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing that's really cool too. That self-discovery that you start to gain a lot more clarity on who you are and why you do things the way you do, and to look at it from a point of view of saying like, that's why I don't like like habits to me were always associated with bad things growing up. So that was imprinted into me. So that's why I have this natural apprehension with that word alone.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so weird. Like just those words matter. Like they matter more than you could think.
Yeah.
Right?
Because we learn that with NLP.
Yeah.
Because it's not it is what you say, but it's even tonality. Because sometimes the word you say, they don't even hear the word. They hear a whole different thing than what you've said. And you're like, well, that wasn't what I said.
No.
But the tone, like everything else, the tone, everything else they read from it, it was like, but this is what I took from that. And I was like, we all take different things or can take different things from it. Even, is it NLP that goes into how much of the image of our eye, our brain actually picks up?
Oh, yeah.
Like, because it's like, hey, there's billions of pixels or whatever, and our brain basically picks up like 3% of what it is. And so our version of reality is truly that. It is only our version because we only ever see like 3% of the whole picture.
Well, you got to think. I mean, you hear and see everything differently than everybody else.
Yeah.
Like nobody gets. It's like the first time I did acid, and that was back in the Navy. This is over 20 years ago. But when I had that, I was saying to my friend, "I'm all Chad, come here.
It's always
I
a
want you
Chad.
to see this." This Giga Chad, and I'm like, and he was a Giga Chad for sure, dude. He probably still is, dude.
That's
The
funny.
guy's a slayer, dude. He's awesome. He still looks fucking young. He still looks like he's 30. Like,
Jeez.
god damn. But anyways,
What's the secret? Man.
well, anyway, so
It's still a secret.
but I told the chat, I'm like, Cad, come here, look, you got to see this. And he yells back. He goes, dude, chill the fuck out. I don't see what you see. And right there, it made me feel really lonely because you think about it. When you are having an experience on a mild psychedelic such as cannabis or psilocybin or LSD or ketamine or name every one that you can ever think of, you don't get to experience what other people experience. And what happens often is that we assume, based on those people's experience, that I'm going to feel the exact same thing. But what I should do is just keep these ideas in mind while I'm experiencing it.
Yeah.
And a good friend of ours, Micah, he did ayahuasca.
Wow. Had he done psilocybin?
Oh, yeah, he's done psilocybin a bunch of times.
I didn't know he'd done that. I knew he'd done cannabis.
Yeah.
So you did tell me he did ayahuasca, and his wife drove him.
Yeah, she picked him up. She picked him up. And
that's a huge step.
He said it was meh. He said it didn't feel really any different from psilocybin. And he thought he took a pretty good dose, but apparently not. He's like, it was okay, but I didn't get this whole set my world on fire, seeing all this crazy shit. And he's like, I got none of that.
I'm curious to talk to him about what his experience was, like everything that went into it. Because everyone I've talked to, it's usually a multiple day experience. Was his a multiple day experience or just a single time?
I think it was 2-day experience.
Okay. I'd be curious to see what, like how.
Well, he just said that it was like, it was cool, but he didn't feel profound. And I've read about those. I've seen videos about people like having meh experiences, or even really horrible ones.
That could be. I'm wondering, and this is just thinking out loud here. I always say that you will never get what you want from a mushroom trip. Mm-mm. You will only get what you need. And if you try to fight the experience, it'll be end up being a worse experience because you're trying to control this experience from the mushroom. And that's not how it works. You can't control the experience from the mushroom. You can sit down and go, what do you want to teach me? What am I going to learn? What is this experience going to be?
Do you find that you want to be alone when
I love being alone, honestly, on mine, because most of the time it's a lot of introspection, a lot of like, I'm going into it like, what am I going in for? Because I don't ever just take a trip to take a trip. Mm-hmm. It's not like, I should take a trip. I'll take a microdose.
It's Thursday at 9:00 in the morning. I should take a trip.
Yeah. I'm like, I feel like I've got this energy or this stress or something that I'm really holding on to and not able to move. I should take a microdose. That's what I'll think. And it's usually once every few years that I'll take like a trip. But it's usually because there's this really big thing in my life that I'm navigating, working through, processing, whatever, and I need help. And I need to just release me and just let it all go and go, is there something out there? Will there be something that comes back, whether it's clarity, peace of mind, something that comes out of this?
Yeah.
And because I'm human, I get stuck in my ego, I get stuck in my head, I get stuck in like all of this stuff in life, all the stresses, that sometimes it's so hard to allow myself to step outside of that,
Mm.
to do like the Blackberry Spice did, where you're
Just
just
let that shit go.
being.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard to just be, and I'm not teaching that with my kids. I'm not teaching them to learn to just be. How often am I teaching them or allowing them to just be bored? To go, versus like, oh, well, you're bored, go do something. Like, boredom is great. Wouldn't it be good to go allow yourself to set 20 minutes a day and be bored? They're a kid, they've got endless time. 20 minutes to go be bored.
Well,
Let
and
their mind have that creative side that they are like, as a kid, is so incredible. The imagination of our kids, it's wild the things they come up with. And it's just like continuous and it's brilliant. And we lose that because of life, because of all this stuff.
oh yeah.
And, if we just allowed our kids to be bored more,
Well, I was bored as a kid all the time, and that's why
I
I got
was
into
too.
mischief all the time, and I was having a good time. I mean,
I was bored too,
we
but my mind was way more creative. Yours is way more creative, I feel like, than mine. But like
no,
back
but it's
then,
just
I had
different
it.
things. Yeah,
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 like it was way different as a child.
totally. No, I was way different. I mean, my creativity started and ended at Bruce Lee, man. I mean, all I thought about did
But that
was
was a passion for
martial
you.
arts.
Yeah.
Well, it's because it was born out of being picked on, and my parents both being like, "You need to stand up for yourself," and on it went. And
Yeah.
I was naturally able to pick it up faster than other kids. And it was not like I'm special or something like that. A lot of it has to do with my behaviors and my personality. And those were just innate in me
Well,
to
and it
be that good at
could
those
also
things.
be your drive too behind it, the underlying reason. Versus some kids are in it because, oh, my parents put me in here because I need to do something.
Yeah.
Like there's all these things, and you had an intent, you had a reason, you had
Oh
a
yeah,
drive, and
totally.
it was a passion to learn how to protect you and your family and go like, I have to stand up.
Well, and that's another thing, just you bringing that up is actually brought up something in my head where I have been having these conversations about money and not necessarily how money works, but how money affects society. And I was telling Max about it because he doesn't understand why his friend's mom all of a sudden is being a weird cheapskate. And I'm like, well, the economy's changing.
Yeah.
I said, what do you know about it? And we had this real good back and forth asking him questions. What does he understand? What he doesn't understand? And being able to see over him, just like, okay, like I do these conversations, these impromptu, like, what do you know about this? Well, let's talk about it. Like, because I absorb information like crazy. But at the same time, I'm like, well, what good does it do? It's like books on a shelf. For me, like if I have a book on a shelf and somebody's like, oh, dude, I'd love to read that. Well, here you go. Keep it.
Yeah. It's just sitting
I've
there.
I've got all of what I need out of it. And if you see little tabs and all sorts of shit outside my book, yeah, I'm keeping that.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
coming
because I'm
back to
reading
that.
this a bunch.
Yeah, I'm
This is a
going back to
regular.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I used to wear books out, and now I just wear out whatever app has it on Audible
Yeah.
or an
Well,
audio book, and I
that was
enjoy that too.
that's what I realized. Like I had so many books and they were stacked and piled and I couldn't even see half of them. Like I'm not reading most of these.
Hmm.
Most of mine is digital that I'm doing, or I've got a handful of books that I really like and that'll go back through. And so that's why I cleaned them out. I took them down and donated them to like the bookstore down there because I'm not reading it.
Yeah, what
It's
good
just
does it
it's
doing?
just sitting there, and if it's stacked upon stacked in the corner of my office, well, it just looks cluttered then. I'm just keeping it to keep it because obviously I'm not using it. I'm not reading it. So what's the purpose? And it was like, man, yeah. So that's why I end up moving a lot of mine digital because I just found, hey, if I'm going to force myself to read, and maybe that's something I should have done anyway, is just taken a book out, gone and set it on my pillow every night, and or every morning, and just make sure that at night that's what I do is I spend 30 minutes reading. I would have gone through all the books, you know?
Well, and it's hard too, man. I mean, the world's a distraction. It's so easy to get caught up in it, but I find myself lately not enjoying any of it anymore. I don't enjoy even educational shit on YouTube. I don't
Yeah.
enjoy introspective ideas from individuals on any social media. Just don't give a shit. And I found myself gravitating to the place that I didn't think I would, and that's into chat.
Yeah.
And
You want to know why I think? Because it's reached, and this is kind of how it's felt with Cannabis School and um, Happier Headspace and just kind of life, is that I think when the work becomes a passion, that's when you start having so much fun and you enjoy doing it, that it's like you're not looking for that distraction, that other thing, because you found something that is so interesting, and that is the project that you're working, doing, wanting to build. And so it's like I could go learn about this other thing. I could go read about this other thing. I could go play this thing. I could go, watch this thing.
mm-hmm.
But right now, what is interesting and what is enthralling is that project, that thing that you're working on. Of like, no, I see this has this value, and I have this passion. It becomes like when you were young and doing, martial arts. It was this passion, this drive of like, I really love this. This has this thing. And right now, you found that. And it's not found in all these other things.
Well, what's cool about it is it takes all my creativity and amplifies it. And it makes it easy for me because I have a lot of crazy fucking thoughts about business. And I'm going, is this even exist? And then it finds it for me.
Yeah.
And then, I was messing around with my mother-in-law yesterday because she knows nothing about chat. And I'm like, old people need to be using chat. Like they just need to develop a chat app. It's just a big fucking button there.
Yeah.
And you press it and it's the microphone and they talk into it. And then it tells them everything they need to know. And it talks to them.
Well, they had that before. It was just called Google, and none of them knew how to use it. So it's just, I love sitting down with like one of my parents and watching them attempt to Google stuff sometimes. And just the things that they type in or put in, I'm like, how are you trying to get, just tell it what you want.
See, with my dad, it's impossible. But my mom, she just retired from the IT world.
Yeah, so she knows her way around it.
She's 65 and she knows her way. I mean, we can have some really good. And here's the thing, too, I've noticed. This is kind of funny. My mom, way more with it, way more sharp.
Okay.
She doesn't sound her age. And what I mean is,
okay, yeah.
Right? And I'm not saying everybody who's in their 60s or 70s sounds like that, but typically those who just kind of live a mundane life, it starts to dull their brain.
I feel like it does, yeah.
So they're not like, even if they're doing the same old things, I'm just like, if you learn this, you can use this to be able to just learn. Yeah. That's what it is.
Oh, 100%. And it becomes this great tool of like, and you can definitely fact check and do things of like, depending on what you're doing, there's certain things that it's like, all right, this doesn't need a fact check. There's no fact in this, like, and other things it's like, all right, well, I'm going to double check these things and make sure. But yeah, like it sounds right.
But the cool thing I've loved about it, man, is that, what I've been trying to always kind of figure out what I do. I mean, I love this. I mean, we love this. This is our passion. But, when we go past that, I'm always looking. I constantly will get bored. If I have to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over, I'm going to get bored. And I'll start looking for excuses to not do it. And the one thing that I've found is like with marketing, I'm so grateful that I have such extensive knowledge now about how it works and how human psychology works with buying things and all that stuff, because it makes a lot of sense with everything that we do because it's just an emotional response. But I am getting so much more out of what I'm doing right now by being able to help guide, but I didn't know what it's called. And then I found something that's like it. And then
I just like what you do?
Yeah. So, but then I created the title or the position is called a change facilitator. And they actually have some people like this, but what they do is they come in and look at your entire organization, find the cracks,
Yeah.
and focus on being able to help people get along and better understand what the goals are from the owner, executive staff, all the way down to your brand new hire.
Yeah.
And that it's very consistent throughout it. And dude, it was crazy.
Because there's always a disconnect.
Oh, totally.
Every company I've worked at, there's like from the C level down, there's always like a different, because the C level thinks they've got this company and this is how it runs and this is like what they stand for. And then you get to your management level and it's a whole different thing. And then you get down below your management level to your base level. And that has a whole, like, it's always different. And then it's always like a whole different thing each way. And you're like, none of this matches. I don't know what you think you're teaching, like,
But
passing.
they don't, because a lot of times this is done in an echo chamber.
Always.
The ideas are always thought of your own. You know, it's like a conversation that I can have with somebody I'm working with, the CEO, and I'm like, okay, well, where did you come up with these concepts and ideas for your marketing? And they say, well, this is what I believe my customers want. And I'm like, oh, you created it. Cool. Well, that's a mistake.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people would say to me, they're like, dude, you're able to create a lot of these ideas and messages for companies. How do you come up for the one on your own? And that's very true. I can't, and nor should you. I think it's very strong to be able to have other people who are experts in that, who have put a lot of time in understanding it and testing it, and having a lot of failures, lots of failures. Because it's all theoretical until you start using it.
Always. Yeah.
It's just like martial arts. It's a neat dance until you make contact with somebody, and then you're like, oh, that fancy shit needs to go right over there. You can fuck off right over there, right?
That's not needed.
Unnecessary. It's not the purpose of it. I mean, it's athletic, very cool, but it's very ineffective in a useful situation, your environment. Anyways, but to go back to that, dude, like it's cool because chats help me to be able to understand what I do, because that's the thing I've never been able to explain. Because like there's a new doctor that just joined the office that I'm working with.
Oh, nice.
And they go, and she goes, who are you? And I'm like, I'm Jesse. And she goes, and what do you do? And the CEO just laughed and walked away. And I said, I do a lot of things. And she's like, oh, okay, cool. And he's like, yeah, he can find anybody that's top quality that you're looking for that you never knew you needed. He's like, he just knows the people to put in the right positions. But I mean, it's so much more than that. And I brought in Pete, who was my former partner in the marketing world.
Yeah.
And both of us realizing that we're not marketers. Like, I mean, I am, but I'm not passionate about it. I always saw it as something to make money from. That's it. Like, and can I use my creativity to make money?
And you got your creative side in it, which you love your creative side because you love thinking and it allows you to do that and it aligns with that. But the problem is when it's marketing. Yeah. Marketing is going to a company and sitting down going, hey, let's help you get better ideas because you're hiring me for a reason.
Yeah.
And they go, but what we're doing hasn't worked, so let's stick with it. And there's a lot of pushback, a lot of like struggle, a lot of ego, because, well, I feel like a lot of C-level has their hands on a lot of stuff. And it's a hard place to play in.
It is, and a lot of it has to do with the ego of not necessarily the ego like an egotistical person that has to hear their own voice, right? But it's more on the side of the ego of like, I've invested a lot into this, right?
Oh, yeah.
I heard a really...
It's their baby.
Well, yeah, but I heard a really good counter argument for this. And that is, oh, shit, it was so good. Oh, damn it, it left. Oh, it was so good. What is wrong with a lot of these people, right? What is wrong with them? And a lot of it is they feel like they've got to do it. Like I recently had that snafu that showed up on that Saturday, right?
Yeah.
And all of it went to shit. And I was thinking like, oh, dude, I'm such a failure. Like those thoughts started to come in my mind.
Yeah.
And since I've been working with myself through 12 Shapes now, I'm just like I'm really sensitive to that mood change now. And when I felt that mood change of I'm a failure, I started feeling anxiety and pressure in my chest. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. They're okay. They're physically okay. they're upset with the situation, they'll get over it.
Yeah.
You don't need to worry about it. Normally, that just sits with me because I can't stand letting other people down.
Well, and it's
I can let myself
hard.
down.
Yeah.
Well, I used to be able to let myself down. Now I've found a way that I hold myself more accountable to those things. That's why I'm more open in a conversation, not to be right, but to learn more about you. Because I have a tendency to do that. I have a tendency to be right because it's part of my behaviors that I built over the years.
How
But
often
I'm
do any of us like being wrong?
no, but we can train our minds to be in a mode of civil discourse. So we can have
can.
a
It's
we
a
can have a
train
hard
thing. Yeah.
conversation, but we can do it calmly. And that's not where I'm at
But
when I
not
get
not
upset.
many of us enjoy being wrong.
No, none of us enjoy being wrong, but I've changed that idea for
Well,
what? Maybe my
It's just an
perspective.
opportunity to learn.
Well, it's
'Cause
being
if we're
able to gain a
wrong,
perspective.
If we are wrong, that's an ability to learn. It's just going, hey, I learned some new information. That's not wrong. That's not bad.
No.
Maybe whatever information we had previous is just what led us to be with that, that thought or idea in the first place. Not that it's a wrong thought, but that it's just, it's not supported maybe in the correct data. And we don't know what we don't know. And sometimes as a parent, I learned that a lot through there. There's a lot of times that it's kid asks something, hey, what's this? How does this happen? Oh yeah, this. Well, something I used to always tell my kids was like, oh, stop petting your face. Like, stop touching your face. Stop rubbing your face. It's going to cause you acne and stuff. No, it doesn't. It's not the oils on your hands. The oils on your hands don't do that. And so I would always tell them that, and their mom would tell them, no, that doesn't do that, because she would always pick at their face and and I always said that. And then they were like, well, mom said this. And then I was like, well, shoot, maybe I'm wrong. And I went to Google and I researched it and I was incorrect. And I told them, and I was like, hey, I'm sorry, because I thought I was right because I had heard that somewhere. And that's just what I've told you guys. But it's actually not right. And it turns out your mom was right, because we do want to be right. We want to go, what I'm thinking, what I'm doing is not wrong. Like,
No, but I mean, it's that idea of being right, which means it's absolute truth. And that's where I have a difficulty with it, because I don't believe, just like you stated, like I believe in this until I gain a different perspective for me to change my mind. So it's all about perspective and when, right? And so it's like that, where you're like, this is my perspective. It's like this one guy I worked with, when you say specifically, right? And he would say explicit, what was it? Specifically.
Okay.
He would say specifically. And I'm like, it's okay.
And
What would he say? Oh shit! The marijuana just.
That's
fucked me
okay.
up.
I've heard people say like specifically, and I'm like, specific. But there's always ones that people have said slightly different. Even when Emily and I first started dating, I used to say botan sometimes, and she's like, botan? You botan it? I'm like, oh my god, sorry.
Dude, I'm stoned.
Thank you, Sour Chills.
Yeah, sour chills is nice.
It's quite nice.
It's nice. It's just soft. It's just really soft. When you were talking about that, it reminded me of this scene in one of my favorite movies called The General's Daughter, with John Travolta and James Woods, and it's like a military murder mystery whodunit type thing.
Okay.
Great movie, good dialogue. But one of my favorite lines in there, this guy who's an officer, and John Travolta's, what's his name? I just said his name.
James Woods.
James Woods is this officer in the military. He's like a psychologist.
Okay.
And then John Travolta, he's just like a sergeant, first sergeant, so he's much lower in rank to him. And he's questioning him because he's like a cop, and he's questioning this officer, and the officer asks him, he goes, "Did you go to college?" And he goes, "No, why? Did I make a mispronunciation with my grammar?" And he goes, "No, I wouldn't be so ignorant to even if you were to point it out." And I always stuck with me. I'm like, you don't need to correct somebody's word to make sure that you feel important, because I always said that.
Yeah.
And I had that happen to me in college, and this guy, I said something like "boughten" or something like that, and he goes, "Oh, you boughten that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I said. Shut the fuck up." And then he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry," and I'm like, "What do you think? You're gonna pull a fast one on me over here?" Going, "Oh yeah, you see what I got him with this fucking grammar? Whack!"
See,
Yeah,
now we just laugh at
fuck
it.
that
So it's
guy.
this funny thing of like we give each other shit when we say words that it's like, wait, that's not even a
Oh
word.
no,
I don't
no,
know
but
what
I'm
that
just
was.
saying, like, no, people
Yeah.
have a weird pull to correct you when you're speaking something, and that's okay because everywhere has different. I mean, Utahns, mountains,
Oh yeah.
not mountains.
That's what I've actually had to work on that a lot because I'm pretty sure I said mountains all the time. I'm
Well,
like
Deer Creek.
mountains. Oh no, I always call it Deer Creek.
No, no, I always when I was brought up, it was always said Deer Creek,
Oh
and so
wow.
when I was in high school, it was
Huh.
Deer Creek, and then my wife saw Deer Creek, and I'm like, yeah, it's Deer Creek. She goes, no, it's Deer Creek, and I'm like,
Yep.
no, that's Deer Creek.
it
You ain't gonna fucking change my
was
mind.
always Deer Creek to
Yeah.
me.
No, everybody
But
I grew up with, dude,
oh,
that's
that's
how it was. Is Deer
hilarious.
Creek.
Huh.
I mean, it was a mix of like metalheads and rednecks.
Yeah. I didn't know many metalheads growing up, different era. But Utah does have a lot of rednecks
Oh
still.
yeah, dude.
Um,
Grunge was really big when I was in high school.
okay, I could see that.
Yeah, it was like Nirvana and all that stuff just barely
Yeah.
coming out. Yeah, dude. I mean, it was the times, man. But it's just so different now when I think about that, where people who look for those opportunities to correct others, and I used to be that. I really used to be that. And I wasn't very conscious of it. I would look for the imperfections in other people. I would be really upset with them if they didn't do what I like. Like, dude, just recently, and this is funny as shit, because I got mad at the dumbest thing. Like, if I get
We're
upset at my
human.
boy,
Yeah.
I stop myself and I go, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm not going to get that far.
Yeah.
And I say it out loud. And I said, I'm feeling anger right now. And it's because of something that has happened between us, but it's not you that I'm really mad at. I'm just mad at what happened in the situation. So I'm going to leave. I'm going to get my mind clear and I'm going to come back and we're going to move forward.
Yeah.
And my kid goes, okay. Because they're used to me screaming at them.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm just like, nope, I'm not going to do that because I become more aware of what I'm about to do.
It's taken a long time. Because my parents were always kids are like things are done a certain way, things are done at a certain time, like things are just very structured. Um, and so as a young father, I was very structured, and it took me a long time to like, and
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I still snap every once in a while, but it's usually when it's not just with one of them, it's when they're fighting at each other and like being assholes to each other and just and I get it, like siblings. Me and my brothers fought, but we were also like super close. So I just, but I hate seeing some of the things they say or do when they are in that. I'm like, where the hell did you learn these? Like, I hope your mom's not teaching you guys this. I wouldn't teach you guys this. And
What, like calling each other names and shit?
not just some of the things they say are like, oh, I hope you die or go kill yourself and stuff. And I'm like, that's not okay. That's not okay.
Well, I mean, it's YouTube.
Oh yeah,
It's all of that. I
but
mean,
it is all of that, but it's this stuff that I'm like, yeah, I'm not. That's we don't talk to people like that.
yeah, no, and it's a common thing with all these kids these days, right? And it's difficult because just like we talked about earlier, like if our kids could be bored, if we can be bored, we can probably like just realize a lot more about us. And that's a lot of the reason why like I'm actually okay with boredom now. And I'll tell myself like every time I go out to smoke a bowl or to hit my vaporizer or whatever, or if I don't have a vape pen, because I'll do that inside, but everything else I'm just like I gotta go take a step outside. I've got to have my phone there and I'm watching something.
Yeah.
And I felt myself being pulled to a lot of like politics stuff because
Well, it's everywhere right now, anyway.
but I mean I'm always interested in politics around the world,
Oh yeah.
like not just U.S. politics, and I want to know like how each one affects the other one because I'm really interested in societies and culture because it shapes how they will act towards others, and it will shape how they
Yeah.
unify. And so if you understand those, you can utilize those in many different ways for positive and nefarious reasons, right? But at the same time, like I'm just like I want to be bored now. I want to go out there and just be and just look at the grass and the trees and just let my mind not have to think about anything, not to create anything, just to take a break. Our brains are constantly being hit with information because
Yeah.
whatever we see is information for it. That's
Oh
it.
yeah.
But then it's just so much.
But even then, I think about it. I'm like, how many times am I going out and maybe I'm not watching something, but how many times am I still putting on noise canceling headphones and playing music and
Mm-hmm.
going out and just I'm there, I'm not there, like my thoughts are going. I'm not just fully enjoying. Sometimes I can. Sometimes it can be a beautiful experience, but I find most of the time if I'm truly doing that, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. I'm trying to numb out
I'm not
everything.
watching the trees. I mean, I am, but it's not the same focus.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like I remember I got pretty baked on which one was it? It was a really introspective strain. But anyways, I had this strain that was just it just took me there, man, and I was super happy. But then I got to Walmart and I was so in this like meditative state all of a sudden.
Hmm.
So I took my earbuds out,
Yeah.
put it in my pocket, and I just paid attention to people. And
I love when that happens. When I'm elevated enough that I don't, there's times that I want to just enjoy the music,
yeah, yeah,
but I love when I'm introspective enough like that.
yeah.
That's really cool.
Because it's
Not
just
sure what strain that was.
no. I mean, it was
That's
sativa
okay.
one, more of a hybrid, I would say, because of how I felt. Like my mind was just allowed to just wonder about all these things, and I still love it. The advertising world, I still love all of that because every single thing on the shelf, I'm always wondering like how much how much money and time and creativity
Went
came
into
up with
that.
that.
Yeah.
Everything to the fucking bag and the twist tie for the bread. Like there
Yeah.
was so much that went into that. And the fact that it's there, it means nothing to the consumer other than I recognize that. It goes back to their heuristics. Heuristics are the things that we are drawn to because we feel safe with them. We know that. It's completely normal. Like you take different cultures, right? There's some cultures where, like here in the United States, it's not okay to hit women. What a concept. But then there's also some European countries that that's totally fine. Absolutely.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. And there's not a
Where
whole
in
lot of
Europe? You know
all
off the top of
over.
your head?
Oh, you got Scotland,
Really?
Ireland.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, I mean, it's just not as bad. Now, they do go after it, but it's more common in the culture. It's the same with like Polynesian culture on the island is way different from the mainland. Because in the mainland, it's common idea, the culture, if you grew up with them. Like I grew up with the Polynesian culture here in Utah, and all I knew it by was wannabe gangster kids and actual gangsters. That was it. Like, or they played football, right? I don't know how many guys I went to high school with that played pro ball. If not, their brothers played pro ball.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, whatever. Like, that's it. That's all I ever knew about them. But then I have like this amazing friend, Will Totai. He's a phenomenal guy. This Tongan guy that he is so deep, so amazing. And he changed my mind on Polynesian people forever. And I just started looking at them as people. And that's the cool thing that I've been learning to do on my own is not to be right, but also to just observe and hold space for other people and allow them to tell you who they are, what they're feeling. Because I tend to go, oh yeah, well you could do this, or have you read this book? This is a great book to be able to apply to that. And majority of people ain't gonna fucking read that book,
No.
and majority of people aren't gonna take that advice Because if you're so eager to give it, people are always like, sure, sure. And I had to realize that about myself. And it's that being able to know myself, to be able to actually see myself has been super awesome. And then I've had some pretty emotional moments that just hit me out of nowhere. And I don't understand why I'm so upset. And then I peel that onion. I go through everything that Kim showed me, and I just start peeling it back, and I go, fuck, it's because of this.
Yeah.
And I face it.
Because that's hard in those moments, especially when you're frustrated, angry, to like step back and go, what's going on? Why am I feeling this? What's causing this? Like, what is the underlying trigger that like pushed that, you know? Because 99% of the time in those moments we're safe, we're okay. Like nothing's really horrible most of the times, you know? But it's like something else is triggered, and it's that secondary emotion of like, what was the first emotion? Was it fear? Was it sadness? Like what triggered this anger to come out, you know?
Yeah, one of the things that I've learned is that, and this is just it used to be a hypothesis, because I can truly say that I've been able to see that. Like I told you last Sunday, I went and spoke at an Army base.
Yeah.
To a bunch of officers and
I thought it was vets for some reason, but
I did too. That's what
duty.
she told me. But when we got there, I'm like, oh, none of these guys are getting out. Like they were all, sergeants and higher. They're non-commissioned officers, NCOs, and then there was officers there, and it was cool because we were explaining.
Does non-commissioned mean they don't get paid?
No, non-commissioned officer means it's an officer that is an enlisted officer. There is a difference between that. So an officer comes in with a minimum of a 4-year education through college, and then they start as like a lieutenant JG, and then they go to a silver, and then they go to 2 bars, and then they go to a leaf, and another leaf, and then an eagle. But the officers are completely different from your enlisted, and they go through different boot camps. They go through different everything.
Interesting.
Because you go in as a leader.
Yeah. Versus being someone who's...
Yeah. And then the non-commissioned officers are the seasoned frontline people that actually have a better connection with your frontline people.
Because they've been there.
They've been there.
Yeah.
And so they're non-commissioned officers. So
they can be trusted. They have this connection that's
different. They get to
different.
the rank. They've done all the things they have to. Not all of them are to be trusted. A lot of them are fucking assholes. But it's because it's just a job to them. And that's the difference. Like, where I said to, these guys over there and while we were speaking to them is talking to them about, where a lot of these things come from. Why do we get triggered on these things? And a lot of it comes from either it's your values and your fears. And the thing to explain is that every single day we use value and fears to make all of our decisions. Even when you're choosing to buy something at a restaurant, you're going off your values and fears, right? Take my wife, for example, right? Her values are things that are not too exciting in that one, because...
Not too out there.
Right.
Just what she's familiar with, what she's comfortable with, not too extreme in any way.
She'll try new things every once in a while, but it's rare. Yeah. And I know her favorite things to eat, and so it's really easy. For me, I have a very diverse palate. I can pretty much eat wherever I want, and I'll find something in it that'll be good.
Yep.
Right? And so it's just really funny, because watching how she makes these choices, it's based on values and fears. And the fear is that it's going to taste the same way as her dad's shitty cooking, because he screwed up everything they ever made. I mean, just all dog shit. It never any good. Like, dogs won't even eat this shit.
They didn't come from a family of knowing what flavor was. So my mom as well, she's got, every time, love her to death, she likes tacos a lot. So she makes tacos often. However, tacos are one of the worst things that she does, because somehow, her taco meat is sweet.
What? She puts sugar on it?
I have no idea what she does. She fucks it up every time. And she loves tacos. And so every time it's like, Addie will be like, "Is she making tacos?" I don't know. She's like, God, I hope it's not tacos. I hate her tacos. And Addie loves tacos, but not grandma's tacos.
I could go over and show her how to make some tacos.
But she doesn't like a lot of flavors, like a lot of heat, a lot of spice.
Yeah.
You know? So it has to be very
Mild.
mild to sit her like within her flavor palette there. So, like you, I can eat just about anywhere, and I will try just about anything.
Yeah.
At least once, just to go like, is that something I'm gonna like? Is it gonna just be like weird? If it's weird, that's fine, but is it likely I'm gonna puke? Probably not.
Yeah.
You know, so if it's really terrible, I'll try one bite and then I'll never try it again because it's not great.
Well, and that's just kind of the way it goes, right?
Yeah.
But we base those off values and fears. And if we value something a lot more than other things, then we're more drawn to that. And we're more averse to anything with
I can see
fears.
that. Yeah.
So it's like Max, for example, my son Max.
Mhm.
He refuses to eat spaghetti to this day. What happened? I think he was like 5 or
Who
6.
hurt him?
Nope. He was eating spaghetti and he just was sick.
Oh, yep.
And then he threw it up.
So
and
now that
since
thought
he was
is-
like 5 or 6, he's 17 now.
Oh, yeah.
He will not touch
crazy.
spaghetti.
Yeah.
It was like cauliflower or squash with me. Squash.
Did you throw up and have a bad experience?
No, I was being stupid as a kid, and this kid in the neighborhood had like a unripened squash. You know, it's a yellow squash.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like this big.
Did you eat it raw?
Yep.
Oh.
Made me sick as hell.
Oh, man.
But I'm just like, oh, if you cook it, you do saute it, whatever, it's amazing.
That's funny.
But it's...
See, that's what pumpkin pie, the first experience with pumpkin pie I remember.
Who made it?
I don't know, but it was Thanksgiving at the Holtz. And I remember eating a bite and throwing up all in that front hallway of what became your house, because at the time that was Grandma and Grandpa's home. And they had the kids on this little tiny table sitting in the hall, and and so I basically threw up right there. Pumpkin pie, and that was... I have never liked pumpkin pie. I still
Maybe you're allergic to it.
Every
dude.
time people will be like, "Oh no, you just haven't had the right one," and they'll be like, "You got to try it." And I'm like,
No.
"I'll try it, but I guarantee I'm not gonna like it." And they're like, "No, you just..." And I'll try theirs, and I'm like, "It tastes like pumpkin pie to me." No offense, like I'm sorry.
That's how I am with
I'm
boba.
glad you love it. I support it for you. Like, eat all the pumpkin pie you want, but for me, this is like I can't do it.
Yeah.
That's it.
You know, I feel the same way with boba.
Really? Just like
type 2
mix-
diabetes in a cup. Because
Yeah.
those tapioca balls are nothing but fucking sugar, dude.
Oh yeah.
And they gross me out. First time in Hawaii, just get off the ship.
Mm-hmm.
All these other stupid sailors, and we stand out like a sore thumb because we don't even know how to dress.
Oh, so this
We
is
look like we
bad.
got out of jail. They just gave us whatever fucking clothes they had. Like that story with Cameron where he gets the
my
fucking
gosh.
pants that were too big and
Yeah.
shit.
That's crazy.
But that's how it looks. That's how you all look. You look like fucking idiots. Women look okay. They look all right.
yeah,
But the guys look like they just...
homeless.
Yeah, the Salvation Army was like, dude, you poor man. Here,
Jeez.
take this. Because we didn't know how to fucking dress ourselves. And this is late 90s.
I didn't either. It wasn't until later that it was finally like, oh, hey, I've got to figure this out. And then,
And then you figure out your style, and then you're like, I don't fucking care what I look like.
yeah, and then you let someone else manipulate your style, and then you end up dressing like some cowboy for a little bit.
That was
And
pretty cool.
It was
That was pretty
something.
cool.
It was something.
That was definitely something. Oh, well, hey, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's conversation.
If you want to be a guest on the show,
Yeah, here's the cool thing.
reach out. We would love to hear from you.
Serious, and don't think that we would be all weird and...
No, we are weird. We are fucking weird.
No, but I
reach
mean,
out.
the funny thing is I actually sent it. We had somebody coming on to the show. Where's my fucking phone?
Right there.
We had somebody who was going to come on the show, but unfortunately they had a family emergency. So you
Another
got
time.
us today. But one of the things that I told her was really funny because we've had people come on the show and they're like really nervous.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, for the show, it's important to keep things in mind. 1, it's no big deal. 2, This isn't live, so we can change anything or edit. 3, have fun. 4, smoking weed is highly advised. And it's
Yes.
like,
yes.
that's all you have to do. We're on a couch.
Yeah. So if you're in Utah
Dude.
then you can come in person potentially. If not,
Yeah.
hit us up and we'll do a
Zoom.
one.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. And then, yeah, you guys have yourselves a great day. And
We love you guys.
Yeah,
Thanks
we
for
do.
tuning in. We'll catch you next week.
Later.